Hello and welcome to the introduction to the business game. The game discovers the importance of planning parameters of the methods MRP, Kanban, Convip, and the reorder policies. Based on the raw material, which is an A4 sheet of paper, the final items A0, A1, and A2 are generated. Therefore, 5 machines in sequence are installed, and by the use of a scissor and text markers, different cells in different colors are painted so that those 3 final items appear. And your task as a player is, on the one hand, to produce the required tasks on each individual machine, and on the other hand, to improve the planning system. So the planning parameters of the production system. It is not considered that you are improving the production process itself, but in this case, you have to improve the system based on the planning parameters. The quality is measured by key performance indicators, such as service level, lead times, inventory levels, and the utilization. One run will take approximately 15 minutes. After this run, you are able to discuss with your peers the performance, and you will define new planning parameters, which will be the import for the next run. And then, hopefully, the system will improve. A little bit more about the problem description and the motivation. In recent years, we have to deal with an increasement of complexity in logistics planning, which of course is influenced by the global competition, the decrease of time to market, the variety of products, and unfortunately, the appropriate quality or inappropriate quality of products. And therefore, the planning parameters of the production system are important. Here you can see, for instance, the planning parameters for MRP. So we have here the lot size, the planned lead times, the safety stock. All 3 items are necessary to be planned for each item. So let's assume we have 10 items. Then you have to set up 30 items just for the MRP run. And then we have some global parameters, such as the planning period and the MRP runs per period. So the planning period is, for example, the next 2 weeks. And MRP runs per period means for each period, for instance, each day, we will execute 1 MRP run. Kanban, you can see here just 2 parameters, the Kanban size and the amount of Kanban, has less parameters than MRP, which of course is an advantage. Convip has as parameter the work ahead window and the WIP cap. And finally, the reorder policy has as parameter the reorder point and the lot size. Those 2 parameters are to be defined for each material item as well. And a good thing happening in the last few years is that we can discuss or have methods for such as Internet of Things, cyber-physical networks, physical internet, Industry 4.0. The big advantage of those methods is the generation of data. And based on that data, we are able to investigate the quality of the production process or the logistic process. And hopefully, we are able to reduce uncertainties in this production or logistic processes. In companies or supply chains, we have to deal with different parameters and variables. We have a bill of material, which is increasing over the years. The engineers, designers are developing new parts. That means Most likely they are not always substituted, but they're additional, so the complexity will increase. The same goes with the routings. We have new production processes, new transport processes, which of course influences the routings, or we have alternative alternative machine which is able to produce the same step as the other existing process. And then we have to deal with stochastic effects, uncertainty in demand and forecast. So we do not know what the customer will order in future. How many pieces will the customer order at which point in time? We have to deal with the uncertainty in external supply processes. So we do not know what the supplier will actually do with our products. Is he able to deliver the raw material on time? Is he deliver the raw material in the requested quality or in the requested amount? Or is the quality not sufficient? And we lose time and have to order again. And of course, there is an uncertainty in the internal supply process, meaning in our production facilities, in our transportation processes. And more information about uncertainty can be found in the book Stochastic Modeling, Production Planning. And this business game especially is focusing on the uncertainty in the demand forecast. And we are not going to touch the uncertainty in the external supply process, so we are going to assume that the raw material is always available. And we are not going to touch the internal supply process. So we assume that the production process is stable and the processing time per item is around 8 seconds. And we are not going to optimize that system. That means for each item we are going to produce in this game, the cycle time should be 8 seconds. And our task is to adjust the production planning system properly so that we can improve the system performance, which is measured by the key performance indicators such as lead time, utilization, service level, and the work in process, and the finished goods inventory. Therefore, we have programmed a business game in AnyLogic and Java Eclipse. And here we can see the production process in total. The raw material, the A4 sheet, is input for the first machine. The first machine is producing E0. Second machine is producing E0. Third machine produces C0, followed by the fourth machine, and there we have two alternatives, E0 and E1, depending on the production order which is displayed on the mobile device. And the final machine, machine 5, has also three possibilities. You're going to produce either A0, A1, or A2. And you can see on the left-hand side in each machine is the inventory. In the middle position, you have your own device. This device has two meanings. On the one hand, you can see the production order, and on the other hand, it's measuring the production time and transfers this data to the ERP system immediately. And on the right hand, you can see the final items produced in this machine, and we forward those final items after we have produced these items to the next machine so that they are ready at their inventory. And above the machine, you can see the tools which are necessary to conduct this production step in this certain machine. And now we can jump into the first machine. We have here our data acquisition system. On the one hand, on the system, which is a mobile device, the production order is displayed. And it tells us, please, machine 1, produce one item of E0. And on the other hand, this device measures the cycle time, what we really need to produce one item of E0, and transfers this information to the ERP system. And in the ERP system, the key matrices are calculated. And now we can start our production. We need the raw material, which is the A4 sheet of paper. If the raw material is available, then we can press the start button. We take the scissor and we cut the first piece out of this A4 sheet. So we cut at least 2 times or 4 times, depending on the position in the paper. And when we have done that, E0 appears. And we press the start button. And we can continue the production process. And the next step is machine 2. In machine 2, we are going to produce D0. The production data acquisition system tells us, please produce at machine 2 one item of D0. So as raw material, the before produced D0 is available. So please make sure that your lot size, in our case 1 item of D0, should be produced. So the lot size is 1. So please make sure that 1 item of E0 is available. When this is the case, then we can press the start button. We need, as equipment in this machine, a yellow text marker. And with this text marker, we are painting 2 cells. Please make sure that the time is roughly 8 seconds. And no, this is hard for just painting out 2 cells, but the assumption is that we have a balanced production system. So that means each step within the production system takes 8 seconds per item. Once we have done that, we can continue with the third machine. And now we can continue in machine 3. Machine 3 produces C0. You can again see the production order. Please, machine 3 produce 1 C0. The input is E0. The equipment we need for the production process is again a yellow text marker. And we are going to highlight 2 cells again. And the resulting item is C0. Now we can go to the next machine. The next machine is machine 4. This part is perhaps more tricky because machine 4 has the ability to produce B0 or B1. And you have to be careful because it's displayed on the mobile device what you are going to produce. So in this case, we are producing at machine 4 one time item B0. The good news is the raw material or input material in this machine is always C0. So based on C0, we can produce B0 or B1. For producing B0, we need the yellow text marker and we have to paint those 2 cells. When we have done that, B0 appears. And in this case, you can see the production order now is requesting 1 item of B1. So again, we have the raw material, input material for this machine, which is C0. Then we need a blue text marker. And we are going to paint those 4 cells. And if we have done so, we have this item B1. So those are the 2 possibilities in this machine. And those items are the input for machine 5. And now we jump into machine 4. In machine 4, we are going to produce A0, A1, or A2. And you can see we have 2 different types of raw materials or input materials. So in this case, the production order is very much important. You can see on machine 5, we have to produce now one item of A0. To produce A0, an orange text marker is needed. The raw material is B0. So we color the requested cells, the 3 cells, and then A0 results. When we're now going to produce A1, here you can see the production order. Please produce at machine 5 one item of A1. Then we need a green highlighter text marker. We need again the input material B0. And we have to color those 4 cells. We have done that. It results in the final item A1. And now we need as input material B1 because we are going to produce according to the production order one item of A2. For that we need the purple text marker and we need as input material B1. Then we are going to highlight those cells, which are 6 cells, and if we have done that, A2 results. And now I've explained how it's possible that we are going to produce all items at the representing machines. And now you also can see the position within a machine. In the middle, we have the device, the mobile device. On the left-hand side, we have the inventory of the input material. On the right-hand side, we have the finished items for this production step. And after you have produced it, please immediately put it to the inventory of the next machine. And in the part above the mobile device, you can see the necessary item. So my advice is to arrange your position according to those pictures. In this slide, we can see what you have to optimize. We have as internal and external key performance indicator utilization, service level, WIP, FGI, and lead times. So the internal key performance indicators are measuring the production itself. So an internal key performance indicator is, for instance, the utilization, because this is not influenced by the customer. Also, an internal key performance indicator is the WIP or the lead time. To be more precise, the production lead time. An external key performance indicator, for instance, is the service level or the FGI inventory, because the FGI depends on the due date of the customer order. When we are going to produce it too early, then the item has to stay in the FGI until the due date has been reached. An external key performance indicator can also be a lead time, to be more precise, the order lead time, meaning the time when the customer states the order until the order has been finished. And now we have to deal with goal conflicts, meaning that at least 2 key performance indicators are contradictory. In this case, we can see that with inventory and the service level. Of course, it would be an easy planning task if we have high inventory levels to satisfy the customer demands. But that implies that we need a lot of money which is bounded in our inventory, and we can't use this money for other purposes. And on the other hand, it would also be an easy planning task if we can have low inventory levels, but we don't have to deal with the service level constraints given by the customer. And you always have to keep in mind that the inventory level is a result based on our planning actions, as well as the service level. So what is beneficial in most industries is to have low inventory levels and high service levels. And if you would like to have high service levels, then it implies we have to influence our lead times. So short lead times are beneficial. Short lead times means, according to Little's law, that we have as well low inventory levels in the work in process. And utilization is a tricky key metrics because we are not going for high utilization. We want to have the optimal utilization, which is given by the customer. And this is how it looks like. After you have installed the app, which is unfortunately only available for Android devices, you can see this screen that you have to enter an IP address. You will get the IP address in the beginning of the session. So the team leader will tell you the IP address, and then you can type in the IP address, you press connect, and then you can select the machine. If you're machine 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. When the simulation starts, this is the screen which will be displayed on your Android mobile device. When you have to produce, you get a warning. Please produce item B0 with the lot size 1. You have to press the start button, and when you have finished, then please press the stop button. This is the bill of material, which will be displayed in front of your working space. So you will have there some printouts. So this is the front end for the server. Of course, the operator at the machine, which is who is in charge of the group, can immediately recognize if each machine is connected to a mobile device. The operator provides to the gamers the IP address, which for instance is displayed here, and which should be entered in the front end of the applet. And for instance, you can see the planning parameters of the business game for the MRP algorithm. So what you can choose is the lot size policy. You can see in this case fixed order period. An alternative would be fixed order quantity. And then you can, of course, define the parameter for the lot size. So in the beginning, we will start with fixed order quantity, and then you have to define the quantity. Meaning if there is, for instance, 8 entered, then whenever a production order appears, you have to produce 8 or a multiple of 8 pieces of the corresponding item, in this case, A0. Then we have to define the planned lead time. The planned lead time is defined in seconds. So we have now 2 seconds. And you have to define the safety stock. The safety stock normally is just used in case of stochastic influences when at the same time a short-term order has been placed by the customer or the production system requests a short-term order, then you can use as a system the safety stock. And here we can see the front end of the server. This is real time. You can at each point in time see the performance in the production system. And this is due to the fact that the mobile devices are transferring the data to the ERP system, to the server. On the left-hand side, you can see the 5 machines or the indication of the 5 machines. The red color means the machine is not producing. If this red turns into green, you know that the machine is producing, and you can have a look at a certain machine if the gamer is really producing. In the middle section, we have the graphical visualization of the key performance indicators: service level, average utilization, and 2 inventory charts. In the service level, you can see for each drop that we were not able to fulfill the customer demand on the customer requested due date. The average utilization displays the utilization for all 5 machines. So the purple line is referring to the utilization of machine 5. In the inventory chart, you can see the inventory in total, which is the combination of the FGI and the work in progress. The work in progress is the inventory between machine 1 and machine 5, excluding the finished goods. And the finished goods are displayed here in the blue line. And to have a more accurate visualization of the FGI, we can see in the last chart a differentiation between our 3 final items. You can see the items A0, A1, and A2. And for instance, if we take the blue line, we can see that at that point in time, we were able to produce 8 items, and then the customer takes those items from our finished goods inventory. And then we can see, unfortunately, that here a problem appeared because we were not able to deliver the items on time. And that should be improved by changing planning parameters. Here we can also see problems for item A0 or A2. And this leads in total to a performance of the service level of 88.46%. We have a tardiness per piece of 3.87 seconds. So in general, every delivered piece is tardy by around 4 seconds. We have a waiting time, FGE, per piece. So each item in the FGI waits around 175 seconds. So you can see there is a huge potential to decrease that. You can see the average utilization, the average inventory, the average FGI, and the average WIP in figures. And now we come to the decision the gamers can conduct. For MRP, you can immediately select the best combination for the lot size for each item, the safety stock for each item, and the planned lead time for each item. And if we are going to play the advanced version, then you can also determine the lot size policy, the MRP periods, or the planning horizon. For ConWIP, you're able to change the work ahead window or the WIP cap. And for Kanban, you can change the Kanban size for each item or the amount of Kanbans for each item. The only run we're not able to influence those parameters is the first run for each planning method. So therefore, I have provided a very bad system with a bad performance. So you have to run this bad run. So it's not your fault that the key performance indicator are that low. So you have to review the results of this run. And then it's your duty to improve the system by changing the planning parameters. So here you can find a short summary of the bill of material and the routings. So we have the raw material, the A4 sheet of paper. In machine 1, we are producing A0 by the use of the scissors. Machine 2 is called surface treatment, produces D0. We use a yellow text marker. Machine 3 is the varnishing, is producing C0. Machine 4 has the opportunity to produce B0 and B1, but the input material stays the same. And now the complicated machine, machine 5, you have to be patient so that you select the correct input material according to the item displayed on the production order. And we have 3 different colors to produce the corresponding final finished item, A0, A1, and A2. And then hopefully in the end, we will be able to satisfy the customer, yeah? Mainly on the due date and the amount. And now we come to the to-dos. So please scan this beautiful QR code, and then you can download the app. This is unfortunately only available for Android devices. So you can download it on a tablet or on your smartphone. Since I'm providing the app on my private web space and it's not available in the Google App Store, so please give access to third-party apps so that you are able to install it. After you have installed the app, the screen where you can enter the IP address should appear. You're not able to enter an IP address because the business game has not started. You will get the IP address in the beginning of the session. Please make sure that you connect to the Adoram Wi-Fi. You have to be connected to the Adoram Wi-Fi so that you can connect with the app to the server. And please charge your mobile or your tablet because we are going to play 3 or 3.5 hours, and that would be a pity if the Android device breaks down during this period.